How's it going, guys? My name is Ethan Page, and welcome to this week's Pass It On bow hunting tips learned from experience. Whenever it comes to bow hunting, there's a lot of things that are done different than if you were a competition shooter, particularly with a traditional bow or bare bow. And there's many things that stay the same. But one thing that experience has taught me that I think will provide you the best overall performance when it comes time to shoot at a live animal is developing a static release. The static release has been in use for a long time, and a lot of people will probably disagree with me on this. And that's where this all comes down to experience. To each their own, right? My experience has been different than other people's, but I developed a lot of my expertise that I end up transmitting into the field from the legends of old. People like Howard Hill, Paul Schaefer, Paul Brunner. A lot of these guys used a static release and trained a static release. And the reason that I believe a static release to be important, and I have found it to be important in my own hunting experience, is because it allows for variables. In bow hunting, you will have many variables. You're going to have to take fast shots. You're going to have an opportunity to stay at draw for a little bit. Maybe you get picked out, or maybe that you're above the animal or the animal's comfortable feeding and you have time to really bear down on your spot and take a good controlled shot. And sometimes you're going to have bulky clothing on, sometimes you're going to have light clothing on, things that impede your ability to have a good dynamic follow-through release. You can't do that whenever it's 10 degrees or 10 below and you can't make that good dynamic release because of bulky clothing. So what I have found, and I believe that that's why people like Howard Hill, Paul Schaefer, believed in the static release, and not only because of variables like that, but because you're able to do the same thing every single time. In the heat of the moment, even this last season, while making what I thought was a little bit more of a dynamic release, I ended up plucking, and I shot right in front of the brisket of a deer at about 18 yards. I didn't feel like I plucked. I felt like I had a good clean release. I didn't have a big dynamic release, but it was just enough that I released the arrow and I thought my hand was just coming back a little bit, and I actually plucked the string and I missed the deer. It cost me a hard-earned opportunity. Whereas if I had just drew back, bear down on my spot, and released the string, never taking my hand away from the face, I would not have plucked that string. It just develops consistency. And when you're hunting and you're shooting at live animals, you must have consistency. I have not found that I can be consistent with a dynamic release and completely alleviate plucking, be able to take into account bulky clothing that doesn't let me have that same dynamic release every time, and just being able to keep my hand against my face and let the string just slip through my fingers, which is what Howard Hill taught. I am just able to be more consistent. I remove variables. I'm a bow hunter. I'm trying to remove variables. That's the only thing that I've found when it comes to a good release, that I can still be accurate and consistent and remove variables that could result in me wounding an animal. So guys, again, thank you for tuning in to this video and this week's episode of Passing It On Bow Hunting Tips. Thank you guys so much for your views and support. Get outside, shoot straight. I'll catch you next time.